Thousands of cars drove past him. Not one stopped. A small, elderly dog lay on the cold asphalt of a busy highway, waiting in silence while the world kept moving without a second glance. He wasn't barking, wasn't running, wasn't trying to escape. He just stayed there, as if he still believed someone would come back for him. This is a true story, and it will break your heart before it gives you hope. Highway BR-070 cuts through the Federal District in central Brazil, one of the busiest stretches of road in the region. Trucks, cars, and motorcycles rush through it at high speed every single day, a relentless flow that never seems to slow down. It's the last place you'd expect to find a creature so small and so fragile. But it was right there, on the shoulder of that road, late at night, that an animal rescuer spotted something that made her hit the brakes. Lying directly on the asphalt was a small dog, his fur matted and dirty, his body covered in ticks, and one of his eyes severely inflamed. He weighed just about 13 pounds. He was clearly a senior dog, the kind that had lived many years, likely beside a family that once promised to take care of him forever. But that night told a very different story. The woman who stopped is a volunteer with Peludos do Cerrado, an independent rescue organization that operates in the Federal District of Brazil with no physical shelter, funded entirely by donations, and run by people who choose to show up even when no one is watching. When she stepped out of her car and approached the little dog, what she saw was heartbreaking. He was cowering, baring his teeth, reacting with aggression to anyone who came close. But it wasn't anger. It was fear. It was a dog who couldn't understand what had happened to his life. Senior dogs who are abandoned after years of living with a family often go through a kind of emotional breakdown that's hard to watch. The bond they form with their people is deep and genuine, and when that bond is suddenly severed, the trauma can manifest in exactly this way: stillness, defensive aggression, and a quiet confusion that hits you right in the chest. That little dog wasn't dangerous. He was devastated, but the rescuer didn't walk away. With patience, with calm, and with food, she slowly began earning his trust. Little by little, he let his guard down. First, he accepted the food she offered. Then he allowed her to get closer. And just like that, with gentleness and persistence, he was lifted off that highway and brought somewhere safe for the first time that night. Because the rescue happened so late, she set up a quiet, comfortable space for him to rest until morning. She decided to call him Chuvisco, which means drizzle in Portuguese. She couldn't quite explain why the name felt right, but it just did, the way things sometimes do when you sense a real connection forming. In one of the videos she later posted, you can hear her saying softly, "Hey Chuvisco, are you warming up to me yet?" as she gently checked his small, worn-down teeth. For the first time in hours, he looked a little less afraid. If this story is moving you and you want to keep up with real rescues, real animals, and real moments of humanity like this one, subscribe to the channel right now and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. Subscribe to the channel and keep following real news and real stories. The next morning, Chuvisco was taken to the vet. The results painted a difficult picture for such a tiny animal. Beyond the serious eye infection, which had already caused what appeared to be partial vision loss, he was also dealing with skin inflammation, digestive issues, and a body that had been hosting parasites for far too long. The rescuer suspected he hadn't just been abandoned on the road that night. She believed he had already been sick when someone made the decision to leave him there, alone in the dark on a highway. Treatment began right away. His body was thoroughly cleaned, the ticks were removed, eye drops were prescribed, and if the infection didn't respond to medication, the next step would be a visit to a veterinary ophthalmologist. But the most remarkable thing wasn't the treatment itself. It was what happened after. With food in his belly, care on his skin, and a safe place to rest, Chuvisco changed. His posture shifted. His eyes softened, The same dog who had bared his teeth at every human being who came near him was now allowing the rescuer to sit beside him, to look at his little worn teeth, to call him by the sweet nickname he never knew he deserved. It's hard not to think about how many cars passed him before she stopped. Thousands, maybe more. Each one carrying someone with places to go, things to do, reasons not to look to the side of the road. And there on that shoulder, a small old dog waited quietly for the one person who would choose to stop. In Brazil, abandoning an animal is an environmental crime under federal law 9605, passed in 1998. The law establishes penalties including fines and potential jail time for anyone who neglects, mistreats, or abandons a domestic animal. But while laws exist on paper, it's volunteers like the ones at Peludos do Cerrado who exist in practice. Out on the road in the middle of the night, with no paycheck, no building, no safety net, driven only by the certainty that a living creature needed help. The organization relies entirely on donations to cover vet visits, exams, medication, and food for the animals in their care. Chuvisco is still in treatment, still on his road to recovery, but he is no longer lying on cold asphalt. He has a name now. He has someone who calls him by it. He has a story worth telling. Chuvisco reminds us that a senior dog doesn't lose his worth when he gets old. If anything, he carries a lifetime of love already given, and he deserves to receive at least a little of it back. And maybe the biggest lesson he leaves us with is also the simplest one. Sometimes, saving a life is just a matter of stopping. If you've ever stopped to help an animal in need, or driven past one, and never forgotten it, share your story in the comments below. What made you stop when so many others didn't?